When you graduate with your MBA, there are so many doors open to you. But I think in many ways, we become our own limiter of which doors can we go and open.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the best MBA podcast in the world, Get to B School. This is your host, Drex, and I am thankful that you're here. I really am. I mean it every single episode. Grateful that you're choosing to be with us. The episode this week is exceptional. Derek Paulson just graduated from Kellogg 5 years ago. We met up again in Evanston when he came for a reunion. He said, hey, let's chat sometime. Let's sync. And we turned it into a podcast episode. And I absolutely love what he shared. It's several golden nuggets. His reflection is really fun to listen to. And he shares some great insight into navigating not just the MBA experience, but the post-MBA experience. I think it's applicable for a wide range of audiences. If you want to connect with Derek and hear a little bit more about his story or ask him some questions, reach out. He's one of those people that is here to help. He's a fun person to talk to. Before we get to the best part, the same notes for me as always. If there's anything we can do to help you, please reach out. Thank you to those of you that already have. That's what we're here for. We're here to have these great conversations and to build a community. And I'm grateful to those of you that are taking part in that. Next, if you know anyone who should be on the show or if you should be on the show, please reach out. Thank you again to those of you that have. I know that we got to get some interviews on the books. And I'm excited for the conversations that are in the pipeline. It's been a banana summer. Lots going on here with work and a startup that maybe I'll share more about in the future. But for now, thank you to the sponsors for this episode, getgiftflow.com and Leland. Check out both of those links in the show notes. Leland's always offering great resources for the B School community and beyond. You should see what they're doing now with AI education and AI empowerment. It's fantastic. So thank you to them. Thank you to Get Gift Flow. Now, before I say any more, let's get to the really good part with Derek. Derek, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm glad we were able to reconnect. And I'm excited, especially with having my 5-year Kellogg reunion just have happened. Excited to share kind of my thoughts as I reflect on that.
That's perfect. Do you mind just telling the listeners where you're at right now? What's going on?
Yeah, so I graduated from Kellogg in 2021, which I refer to as the COVID era. So we'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. But I graduated in 2021, and since then I've been what I would call a generational run of just cool brands. Was at Frito-Lay for a while. I was at Rad Power Bikes, so doing e-bikes, then Pura Vida bracelets, and now just recently within the last month or so started a new role at Nani Swimwear. So really kind of the e-com consumer space and just really, really cool brands that people love. Like anytime I talk about where I work, everyone's like, that's so cool. I love those, I love that product. So it's been really fun. I live in Utah, so just moved back what I would call home. I grew up in Utah and spent 10 years outside of Utah, which is one of the stops along the way was Kellogg. Was in Dallas for a while after Kellogg, and then moved back home when I had the flexibility of working from home and found a job up here as well. So happy to be here. I'm up in Cache Valley. If you know Utah, beautiful place. It's kind of that semi-rural suburban life. And it fits well for me and my family. And with that, I will say I also have 4 kids. I've been married for, I guess, 13 years now. So wish us luck to get through the 13th year. But really, really happy and all things good.
I didn't know about the Frito. That's awesome. And then you're good to share the secret of Cache Valley with the listeners. That's like, if you can find a way to live in Cache Valley, then you do.
Yeah, it's very much nobody move here because we wanted to stay small and make it easy to get into the mountains with and I'll go on a hike, 10 plus miles and see 0 humans the whole time. It's awesome.
Oh my goodness. It's changing. We were on the ski lifts a couple winters back and someone had put a sticker on the lift that said, Utah sucks, don't move here.
yes, it's that energy all the time for sure.
That was an excellent get to know you bit. Will you just walk through your Kellogg highlights? That's kind of the first chapter we wanted to open. What did you love? What are some things that you remember?
2 things really stand out. One is more on the fun side and one was more meaningful and kind of life-changing when I think about it. So the first was, if you don't know Kellogg, and I know you have listeners who are contemplating business school, if you don't know Kellogg, one of the fun things about Kellogg is everything's in sections, right? So you get assigned a section. Think of it kind of like a Harry Potter house. You get sorted into your house, and then that's your crew for your time at Kellogg. Weird, quirky traditions. So like, I'm a cash cow. Our cash cows, we moo at each other all the time. Fun, weird stuff. But one really cool section bonding experience we had was we had like a Kellogg-wide flag football tournament. And so we had our team, the cash cows, against all the others. We happened to go on a great run, and we had a really great team. But it was just so fun. The business school should be fun. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why you go to business school, but fun is part of it for sure. So that was just a fun one. Got to know my some of my best friends from my section were the ones we were playing football with on a Saturday morning.
Did you meet Jake Perry while you were out here?
I know the name, but I don't recall.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain that his main takeaway now from his time at Kellogg was playing Survivor. He played Survivor with like a group of 30, and it got really intense, like really real. It's so fun to hear him.
Yeah, it's great. So pivoting kind of to my next memory that I think of really fondly is so I'm a person of faith. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's a huge part of my identity, and I found others both within and outside of my faith community that felt the same way. And I started to just have more and more discussions about religion, about faith in general, about people's faith journeys, and I found it really fulfilling. And I said, you know what, there's something missing here at Kellogg. There's a lot of affinity-based clubs. We have a bunch of faith-based clubs at Kellogg, but what we didn't have is a chance for them to interact with each other much. And I really felt that like that was something that was missing. So I got a couple of those friends together from those other clubs, and we put together a whole week of themed, events, called it Faith Week.
You started Faith Week?
Yes, actually.
Whoa,
so me and a couple of friends.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. So we put together just all kinds of events. We'd have like small group dinners where people of diverse faith backgrounds would get together, talk about their experiences, their thoughts, their challenges and struggles with faith, and how you make that work in the workplace. We had people share really vulnerable stories about their faith journeys. It was during Ramadan, so we had an iftar where everyone got together at the end of the day, broke a fast, and had those experiences. And it's something that was resonant for enough people that it has continued, and sounds like it's still going strong, which is really cool.
It is, and that is really. I had no idea. I assumed it was a long-standing tradition at Kellogg.
No, man. It's 5 years old as of this year since.
Way to have an impact. Yeah, no, it's a really cool part of the year over here. Man, wonderful takeaways. Okay, we'll go to the next part now. It's been 5 years, like you said, and your career, like every time I talk to you, you're working on a cool new product. So yeah, you talked about rad bikes. When I met you, that's where you were. And then you did the bracelets at Pura Vida, and now you're doing swimsuits at Nani. So my question is, post MBA, how are you navigating these jumps, these changes? What's your thought process?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just in general openness to new experiences, just being willing to say, hey, that sounds cool. I'm willing to try it. And I think, on my personal side, I mentioned I have 4 kids. In some ways that makes the fear of doing something different and taking a risk in your career bigger, because like I'm providing for my family. I don't want to join this startup that's no guaranteed paycheck, no guaranteed outcome. But I think when you graduate with your MBA, there are so many doors open to you. And that's one of the reasons why I pursued an MBA and why I love my experience at Kellogg, is just the opportunities that it opens up for you. But I think in many ways, we become our own limiter of which doors can we go and open, right? We always talk about any door can be opened if you're coming with a Kellogg MBA or a Harvard MBA, whatever MBA you get, that opens doors, but it only opens them if you're willing to go and knock on it and try to get in. That's really what I've tried to do, is be open to, hey, if this particular role isn't quite working out, or if this opportunity comes my way, just being willing to embrace it and say, hey, let's take a risk, let's try it. I think, careers are long, but they're longer or less enjoyable if you're not doing something that you enjoy. While we think about the MBA experience, as we talk about optionality as being such a big buzzword when you think about your MBA, it opens up options. Those options don't go away. You can keep extending those options as you go, if you're open to it, willing to chase it.
How do you optimize your optionality? Like, how are you getting the most out of those options? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does for sure. I mean, first of all, everyone talks about networking. It can be a dirty word for some people, but it's just staying connected with people. You never know who's going to have that opportunity that pops up. I spoke a little bit about, I was at Pura Vida, and then I transitioned to my new role here at Nani, and it was a direct result of, hey, we're moving back to Utah to a new place. And I just started saying, hey, if we're going to be here, I want to meet people in the community. So I just started reaching out, connecting with people. And that's ultimately how I found this opportunity. It was like, it just kind of popped up as, hey, they're looking for someone to lead the finance organization, and it happened to work out from a timing and fit perspective. So again, it's, whether you're in little old Cache Valley, Utah, or New York City, there's billions of people around you that can impact your career. So that's number one, is just making sure you're staying connected with people and people from all walks of life. Like don't underestimate the guy who's sold sprinklers for 30 years. They can have great connections as well, and you can learn a lot from them. So I think just that openness to new experiences, and particularly enhance that by talking to people. That's number one. And then I think number two, I don't think you can jump and kind of climb the ladder quickly in your career unless you perform at the job you're at. I will say there have been times where I've left a company sooner than I even expected to, and definitely sooner than they expected me to. And those aren't always easy conversations. I would say that's kind of a challenge I've had to navigate, is like, how do I tell someone that that I'm leaving and they feel like they didn't get as much as they wanted out of me. But I think, again, if you find the right people, they'll be excited for your career success, and they'll help set you up for success. But it's really about, you have to perform while you're there, and you take care of them while you're there too. Leave on a good note, those kinds of things. I think those, I mentioned careers along, they're, as I've moved to different companies, I don't ever want to burn a bridge. I want to leave every organization stronger than when I found it. And that does mean that sometimes I do leave, but hopefully they are in a better spot.
Yeah. Okay. Can we double click in there? So it has been fun to watch you, because like I said, in the time that I've known you, you've had 3 awesome products that you've worked on. So that's a lot to do in a short amount of time. Can you actually walk the listeners through a little bit more how you did navigate those fast changes?
Yeah, one in particular. So the most recent move from Pura Vida, I had only been there about 6 months.
Yeah.
It was a very packed 6 months. Like I can't even make a list of just the massive transformational things we went through. We switched to 3PL. We implemented a whole new point of sale system. We implemented NetSuite, which is like, if you're on the finance side, especially in the corporate finance side, like that's like
big lift.
Big, huge lift. Got a ton done in those six months, but I had actually come into that role with a little bit of burnout from my prior role, just from the business challenges we'd gone into.
Okay.
And I was hopeful that this next one would be, we'd find some wins, find some earlier wins to keep me going. Definitely had big wins, but none of them were like the true energizing type of thing.
Yeah.
So as much as I love the people there, love the experience, and I grew a ton in those 6 months, like there's an incredible amount of learning that you can get in a short time if you're pushing hard. But I just felt like that wasn't where I was meant to be. And particularly because this other role opened up, as I mentioned before, just through natural networking as I moved to a new place. I had also been working remotely for a long time, and I thought I would enjoy it, but in the end, it ended up being draining. And I felt like I missed interpersonal interaction. And so
Totally.
this role coming up, again, felt like just that too good of an opportunity to pass up, and a perfect fit for what I was looking for, not just professionally, but also on the personal side. So I had to deliver that tough news. It was sad all around. Like, unfortunately, like I got emotional telling them about it, because I was like, I know there's more I could do here, but sometimes you just feel called to do something new, and everyone can respect that. And I felt like, again, I feel like I left them in as good a spot as they could. I think it's worth considering that, yes, there are great opportunities open to you, but you also have to be careful, and probably careful is the right word, full of care for when you do leave somewhere, and make sure that you live in, like I said, in a good spot.
I mean, kudos to you for accomplishing so much in 6 months that you could leave them in a better spot, but then B, like, kudos for having, the gumption to make a hard decision. And I'm glad that it's panned out so well. It sounds like that you're doing very well at Nani, and it was the right move for you and the family. Okay, let's go now. Sometimes it helps to have a few practical XYZs of how to stay connected, because we throw that network word around a lot. Do you have systems in place to where it's like, I have alerts for reaching out to this person if it's been six weeks and no contact or something? Or is it just top of mind always?
Yeah, I wish I did. I probably should have a better system in place. A lot of times it's, hey, this person popped in my head. What I found is it's really easy to ignore that, but act on it immediately. Act on it when you think about it. Send them a text. Like, it's so easy to just pick up your phone and shoot a text over. I'm also growing into being an even bigger fan of making a phone call and cold calling someone. I think it's kind of, our society is in a weird spot where, like, it almost feels like you have to, like, send a text, send a calendar invite just to talk to a friend. And I'm like, well, how did we get to this situation? My kids are a good example of this. We've moved to this new neighborhood. My daughter's just about to turn 11, and there's a group of girls in our neighborhood that they'll just come by and knock on the door. I'm like, it feels like I'm living in the 90s again.
Love that.
We would just, the kids would just come by, and we'd be out in until sunset or sometimes after. I think we need to channel that energy ourselves too and say, hey, I'm going to give you a call. If you can't answer, great, that's fine. Call me back when you get a chance. Don't expect me to impose my time on your schedule, but at the same time, I will show you I care about you by not sending a text and say, let's talk a week from now. Let's talk. That's my soapbox moment for this.
I love that, because a few people, when I was living in New York City, there were just a few guys that for the first time, I didn't know them that well, but then they would call me like, what do you need? Like, why are you calling me? And then it's like, oh, you're just, okay, I love this. Let's just chat for a second. I'm right with you. No system in place. I try to act on it immediately. I'm not as good as you are. I'll write it down, like call so-and-so, call. And my list is I got to make some calls.
Yeah. If you follow me on Strava, you'll see some of my runs look pretty slow. It's because I'll think of somebody and I'll text them mid-run.
Really?
So just try to act on it immediately, because those thoughts come from somewhere, and everybody loves to know that they're being remembered and thought of.
I love that. I love what you're saying and what you're not saying there. Cool. All right, man. Let's go to the last section, which is a little bit more open-ended. I would love to hear just reflections. If you had a 17-year-old son or daughter right now, would you tell them to prepare for an MBA?
It's a great question. And I mentioned I've been a little bit more reflective about my MBA experience in general, just because it was a month ago that I was back at Kellogg for my 5-year reunion. And so it was just, first of all, I always encourage people to go to reunions because the energy from business school came back immediately. Being back in the Kellogg Global Hub, being amongst the people, some of whom I'd seen, stayed great contact with, others I literally hadn't seen since graduation day. But it was so energizing to have that like density of high impact, low ego, as we say at Kellogg, people who are just like trying to grow their career. It was so energizing to like see people that have founded companies, but also on the personal side that have gotten married, had kids. It was just really cool to just reconnect with people. And it made me appreciate more than ever, not just the business school network, but the business school experience itself. Like there is so much energy when you get that much talent density and ambition density together in rooms. It was so cool. It felt like anything was possible, not just for me, but anyone in that room. I was like, you can do amazing things. And I had reconnected with people who were just hyping me up, truly just within an instant were my cheerleaders. And I tried to do the same, but it was really, really cool. And so I think, again, some of those people I hadn't seen much and stayed in contact much, but we still had that shared experience together, and it reignited some of those friendships. And, going forward, we're going to stay in better contact and those kinds of things. So as I think about business school, there's lots of reasons to do it. Everyone does the ROI analysis, especially maybe on the finance side. You have your spreadsheet, you have your decision. I would say number one thing to focus on, because there's a lot of great business schools. I only attended one and everyone only attends one. So everyone thinks theirs is the best. But I think what's most important is, as much as you can, find the best business school for you. And that might not be the best business school. Advice I give to people, and I've had the opportunity to connect with quite a few people. I do some coaching on Leland. I know the podcast is a friend of Leland. I'm a huge fan. So if you want coaching or you want to build a strategy, reach out to coaches on Leland. That can enhance your outcomes. But anytime I talk to someone, I say, if possible, go visit the school. Do everything you can to get a sense for, how does this fit with my life, not just my narrow career goals. I was fortunate enough to visit Kellogg before I applied. I also visited when I interviewed, and I fell in love with the place instantly. It was almost startling, because I visited other schools, but I felt at home at Kellogg, so much so that I almost blew a ton of money on Kellogg gear and swag, because I was just so convinced this is the place for me. I didn't, because I was like, I haven't been accepted yet, and I'd be awkward if I had a closet full of Kellogg gear and I ended up going to the booth or something weird like that. But I felt so at home, and I was ultimately accepted. And I think that that's not a coincidence, right? Business schools are looking for people who will fit and be a good portion of their class. But also, I don't think that there was a better place for me. So work hard to find that fit, because there are going to be great career outcomes at any business school, whether that's part-time or full-time or, executive programs. There's always going to be great outcomes. Focus on the fit, because this is a big part of your life. The connections you make there carry on for at least 5 years, and probably much beyond that.
That's a perfect thing to leave the listeners with. Focus on the fit. I did love, though, I want just the energy that you get from the talent density marrying with the ambition density. I love those two things. So Derek, thank you so much for making this time. Thank you for connecting and being a good example. I'm going to go follow you on Strava.
Yeah. Be prepared to be underwhelmed. It was so real. Like it felt like I was back in the MBA program.
Yeah.
So cool.
Just like,
yeah.
I think of that scene from Mission Impossible where he's like, you're going to feel this. This is adrenaline.
Yes. Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah. It was really fun.